Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Kristen Shanks, and I'm the Director of Sales for Ingleside. For any of you who are new to our organization, Ingleside is the premier not-for-profit provider of senior living services in the DMV. We are based out of Rockville, Maryland, and we're the parent organization for 3 CARF-accredited life plan communities. We have Ingleside at Rock Creek in Washington, D.C., Westminster at Lake Ridge in Lake Ridge, Virginia, and Ingleside at King Farm in Rockville, Maryland. All 3 of our communities have the full continuum of care, including independent living, assisted living, skilled nursing, and rehab. One of the major benefits of being a not-for-profit life plan community is our Westminster Ingleside Foundation. This foundation provides financial assistance to those residents who have outlived their resources to no fault of their own. And this provides peace of mind to our residents that they can live comfortably throughout their stay on campus, regardless of health or finances. I'm also excited to share Ingleside at Rock Creek and Ingleside at King Farm have opened memory support assisted living on each campus. This is a residential program for residents living with early stage neurocognitive disorders. Our residents receive a person-centered approach with individualized therapeutic programming. And our programming was created to honor each resident's individual choices and allow them to live a life which makes them feel purposeful. And I'm certain that most of us on this presentation today have had experiences with someone important in our lives living with Alzheimer's or other neurocognitive disorders, a disease which not only is difficult for the person diagnosed, but of course, those who care about them as well. And because of this, I'm so pleased to introduce Jolene Bracky with us today. She is a nationwide speaker in Alzheimer's education, and she's written a book called Creating Moments of Joy. And her vision is to look beyond the challenges of Alzheimer's disease and focus more on our energy on creating moments of joy. Before we begin and before I introduce Jolene personally, I just want one housekeeping item. For those of you who might be new to Zoom, I can't imagine anybody is new to Zoom anymore these days, but for those of you who are new to Zoom, we have 2 ways to ask questions during today's webinar. We have an option 1 choice, which is a voice option. You can raise your hand. There's a little hand on your screen, and then we will unmute you and you can ask your question. And we will have Jolene answer that for you or myself if there's a question about the community. And then there's a text option as well. There's a little Q&A button you can hit and you can type in your question. And throughout the presentation today, we will stop for some questions and answers if needed, but we'll also answer at the end of today's webinar. So with that, Jolene, thank you so much for helping us out today and sharing your background and wonderful information for the audience. I will stop share and I will let you go.
Perfect.
Thank you so much. Yep.
Perfect. Thank you. Hi, my name is Jolene Bracky. I am a national speaker on Alzheimer's or dementia. Now we're doing Zoom, but I'm out of Montana and I've written a book called Creating Moments of Joy. My mind is in this book, so don't try to remember everything that's going to be said today. You can simply get the book at Amazon or on my website or anywhere, and everything's in there. It's just recently rewritten, so don't try to remember everything that I've said today. All right. We're going to begin because we only have an hour. The first thing to understand, well, we have to understand the person with Alzheimer's. Understand that they lose their short-term memory. How do we know they lose their short-term memory? They ask the same question over and over and over again. And if you ask them, what did you have for breakfast? They would say, I don't know, I didn't get any breakfast. Or if you said to them, oh, your son called you last night, they would be like, I've not talked to my son in months. You know, where is he? I haven't seen him. So they don't remember what happened this morning. They don't remember what happened last night. They don't remember what happened last weekend. But the positive side of this disease is they retain long-term memories. they retain memories that were impactful to them. And so that's what we're going to try to pull out today, is those memories that are ingrained in them and how to do that. The first thing, though, that's a little more confusing, as the disease progresses, I'm going to slow down on this part. As the disease progresses, their age in their mind regresses. In other words, they get younger in their mind. They lose more and more short-term memory, and they get younger in their mind. So how do we know this? They ask for their mom. They ask for their kids. But when their kids come in or to visit them face to face, they don't recognize their kids because their kids are adults, and the kids that they're looking for are their little kids. They might ask where their husband's at. But when they see their husband, they're like, yeah, I'll be nice to you for like 10 minutes, but then you got to go. So they're looking for that young, handsome beau. It's really important to figure out the age they're living in their mind at this moment, because this is where their memories are at this moment. I would even ask people sometime, how old are you? And they would say 24, 56. Like, it changes throughout the day, even how old they are in their mind at this moment. But once you can figure that out, so for example, let's say they were looking for their husband, but they're no longer recognizing him. So in their mind at this moment, they're probably in their 20s, correct? Because they remember they're married. But in their 20s, they lived in the Midwest. But now they live in the East Coast. Where in this moment do they believe they're living? In St. Louis, Missouri. So who's going to talk about St. Louis, Missouri instead of Maryland? We do. Who's got to get the pictures out of that place instead of the home that they just left? We do. Who's got to talk about their grandparents instead of the grandkids who called yesterday? We do. Because we got to give them back the memories that they're still holding. To try to get them to remember what they did yesterday is futile. You're setting them up to fail. So one of the big things that happens when they get dementia and Alzheimer's is they will say, I want to go home. I want to go home. I want to go home. I want you to think to yourself, if you have a person who's saying, I want to go home, where they're sitting right now, what they see right now, who's around them right now, does it look, feel, and smell like the home that they're looking for? Know that even if you take them home, most likely they're still going to want to go home, because the home that they're looking for is at the age that they believe in their mind. Yes? Okay, so we want to try to reason with them and get them to get it. So we say things like, this is your home. You live here now. I'm here to take care of you. They're thinking, get me out of here. I don't know who you are and I don't know why I'm here, but this is not my home. So when anyone says, I want to go home, I give them a reason to stay with me just a little bit longer. I might say, you know what, I just put on a pot of coffee. And then a little bit later, they'll say, I want to go home. And I said, oh, I was just going to read a devotion. And then a little bit later, they're going to say, I want to go home. And then I said, oh, but I made lunch. So people can stay somewhere for another 15 minutes, another hour. But when you try to get them to understand that they live here and they're going to live here for their ever, that's when the stress level goes up and the functioning goes down. All right, that one I thought I better cover. But the big question that people tend to ask is, how do I know when it's time to move? How do I know when it's time someone else takes care of them, or they need someone to be there to take care of them? My biggest thing, especially if there's a spouse taking care of them, or a daughter taking care of them, or a son-in-law taking care of them, my biggest thing is I always look at the caregiver. I want to see the health of the caregiver sustained. And what normally happens is the people who are suffering and the people who decline actually are the caregivers, because they are holding the stress. The people with dementia don't really think there's anything wrong with them. They think you're all crazy and they're perfectly fine. And the people who get vomited on, which, why I got robbed last night, You took my stuff. You're taking my money. This food tastes like. Point is, the people who get vomited on are the caregivers, are the ones that are giving care. So I'm always looking at the caregiver because I know that the person with dementia will never say, hey, I don't think they should take care of me anymore. They're not going to say it's time to move. I need to move. Someone else needs to take care of me. That's not going to happen. Not going to happen. But we tend to wait and wait and wait and wait and wait. And we tend to wait to move them until the caregiver ends up in the hospital, or the caregiver ends up ill, or last minute, some catastrophic thing, something, someone breaks a hip, et cetera, et cetera. We tend to wait until trauma. And when you do that, then you got to move someone really quickly. Then you got to it's not good to rush the process. So if I was to give some advice, prepare. You're thinking, no, not right now. Nope, they're not ready right now. That's okay. That's okay. But you still need to prepare. You still need to take the steps to look at places, and don't involve them in those steps, because when you involve them in those steps and you ask their opinion, where do they want to live? And you maybe have them visit, like that was like crazy in my mind when families would have them go with them, involve them. Stress level goes up, functioning goes down. They don't know what happened. They don't know why it's happening, but they're declining because of the focus is, we're going to have someone take care of you. They don't think they're sick. Don't need to involve them. Their favorite grandkid needs to take them out to eat. Their favorite grandkid needs to come over and hang out with them, a neighbor down the street. So they can't see all this transitioning happening in the background, or all these processes happening in the background. All right. Know that when you do move anyone, there is going to be a somewhat of a decline, simply because change, even if I moved or you moved, it's going to take a while to adjust. And some people adjust really quickly. They actually function higher around strangers. That would be another reason to move. If you notice that this person is totally mean to you, totally blaming you for everything, but when anybody stops by to visit, or when anyone calls on the phone, they're perfectly fine, they're perfectly normal, and they're perfectly nice. Yeah. How do you think that feels for the caregiver when they're nice to everybody else? And when they function higher and they're nice with everybody else thinks it's not that bad. We call on the phone, we have a lovely conversation with the person with dementia. They get you back on the phone as the caregiver, and they're like, wow, he sounds like he's doing really well. And they might tell you what they saw on the internet for an idea of maybe, medication or something to make it better. They want to give their opinion. Again, the people who are tired are the caregivers. They cannot intake any more information. And if the caregivers try to do this all by themselves 24/7, research show that they will pass away before the person with dementia. And we as a community, we as a family, we're not here to question the caregiver. We're not here to give our opinion to the caregiver. We are here to support the caregiver in any way possible. Which leads me back to a really good point. It is the caregiver's responsibility to email 5 ways in which people can help that would actually be helpful. Because what we tend to do, we tend to say, do you need anything? How you doing? Do we need anything? And the person's going to say, I'm fine. We're okay. I'm fine. And the world gets smaller and smaller and smaller because they don't even have the energy to ask for what they need. But how can we help in a way that's helpful? And some of those suggestions would be like, you know what? I got 2 hours on Sunday. I'm coming over. You go for a walk, do whatever you want to do. But I got 2 hours on Sunday. I'm coming over. Because if we ask, do you need anything? They're going to say no. But people, I'm telling you, if you're a caregiver, which I have been, after 3 days alone, I feel like I'm losing it. And when people don't believe that it's that bad, because they just call on the phone and they check on you, you're going to feel like you're losing it. When people stop by and they go, oh, you look like you're doing pretty good. People with dementia can function really high for half an hour. They can act perfectly fine for that time. The people who hold the truth on what's happening right now are the ones who are giving the care. So if you want to know the truth on whether or not it's time to move, if you want to know the truth on what's actually happening, look at the people who are giving the care. Ask the people who are giving the care. They hold the truth. Whoever the caregiver is, that's the one who's holding the truth. That's the source you want to go to, not the internet, not family, not somebody in another state, not even the doctor. I'm not going to lie to you. The ones who hold the truth are the ones giving the care. Okay, so the other thing that we tend to do is we tend to want to figure this disease out. And we take them to the doctor. And we want to know what stage they're in. And we want to know what's going to happen next. And we take these tests and all of these things. And sure, you can get a diagnosis for Alzheimer's. But going to the doctor, trying to figure this out, trying to feel like you're going to get some control over this is insane. Every single person with dementia or Alzheimer's is completely different. How they go through the disease is completely different. So basically, how this person is going to be completely different how this person is. And in this moment, this same person, 5 minutes later, what you did isn't going to work. So I'm not even your teacher. And I think this is the biggest thing to learn today, that I'm not even your teacher on what works or what doesn't work, or what's happening or what's not happening. The person you're caring for will always, always and forever be your teacher. You can tell when you set them off, you can tell when you calm them down. And when you calm them down, you better tell everybody what you just did, because that made them feel better in a moment. And 5 minutes later, they don't know what you said or what you did, but that feeling that you leave with them absolutely lingers on. So it's important that we give them the feeling like their world is perfectly okay. That's your whole goal. If they're worried about someone, you got to make them feel like that person is perfectly okay. So if their question is 50 times a day, where's my mom? She's in the kitchen. 90% of what they understand is not what you're saying. 90% of what they understand is how you say it. And when you say it in a calm tone of voice, no big deal, they're more likely to feel safe with you. So if their question 50 times a day is, where are my kids? Where are my kids? What age are their kids in their mind? So then their kids might be at school. Even though their kids are 50, their kids might be at school, because that's how old they think their kids are. If they think their kids are babies, their kids are taking a nap. If they think their kids are older, their kids are at work. But they have a worry, and that worry is consistent. And that's the question they ask 50 times a day. And your whole goal is to make them feel like the world is okay right now. So if their worry is, I got robbed last night, I got robbed, someone took my money, someone took my purse, well, know that everything gets lost. So in their world, it does feel like they got robbed. But you don't say to someone who, in their mind, in their truth, got robbed, you don't say to them, I'm sure no one took your stuff. I'm sure I'll go look for it. They're thinking you took it. In other words, when they come at you with their facts can be way off, but how they feel about it is true. In other words, they didn't get robbed, but they did get robbed. And so you got to act like what they're saying to you is true. It's like if your best friend came up to you and said, I got robbed. Oh my gosh, that is not okay. Did you call the cops? And then like, I'm calling the cops. And then I'll leave the room. If someone comes up to me and says, I got robbed, I'll say, I'm calling the cops. And I'll leave the room, and I won't go call the cops, of course, but I will go get a drink of water. But point here is that they see that you took them seriously, that you're on their team, that you're not trying to make them wrong. Does that make sense? That you believe what they're saying. So someone just asked on the screen, which I love that. How do we know what age they think they are? By the questions they ask. You can even ask them questions too, but I like to figure out where they think they are. So if they're talking about Missouri, then it's obvious to know that they think they're in their 20s. If you bring in a picture, let's say I brought in this picture, by the way. This is a wonderful way to create joy if someone has dementia. Get a picture of yourself when you're in second grade. Everybody's cute when they're in second grade. And give them their memory about you. You're not trying to get them to know you, right? Because so often when a kid walks in, they'll go, Mom, do you know who I am? Do you remember me? Do you know who I am? And we'll try to get them to remember us, because that's the worst fear, is that they'll forget us. I disagree. You're setting them up to fail. You're testing them, which isn't going to, improve the situation. So basically, I'm going to put a picture back in their hands, because I know what triggers their memory is not what I'm saying, but again, what they see. So I'm going to put something back in their hands to trigger their memories, so I can figure out where they are in their mind. So when I put this back in their hands, I'm going to say, oh my goodness, she was a feisty little girl. Quite a tom girl too. She liked to climb trees. Yep. She wouldn't wear dresses, but she wore that one because you made it. With my mom seeing this picture, she's more likely to respond to this picture than she is to respond to me. She might even point at that picture and say, I love her. Do you know what else she might do? She might look at that picture and tell me a story about myself I don't even know. So the blessing in this is when you go where they are in their mind, when you go where they are in their mind, then you're more likely to trigger memory. So here, the other point is, if they don't have the ability to talk, if they are not communicating, you gotta do not come in with words. If they are not talking, if they don't understand your words, you got to stop using your words, and you got to get into your body and feel. I would do this thing where I would be like, think of something I love. Think of the person that I love. Think of something that they did that makes me feel love toward them. And when I step through the space, they can feel that. And I'm calmer. And I might be able to touch their hand. And I might be able to comb their hair. And I might be able to, in other words, how they took, if you're a spouse or you're a kid, the big question to ask, how did they take care of me? How did they take care of me growing up? How did they take care of me when we were first married? Because I'm going to say how they took care of you is quite possibly how we take care of them. So I can only reference myself, but with my mom, she would read books, and she loved the pop-up books. Love. She has a whole stack of pop-up books. So if and when she gets dementia, I'm going to read her pop-up books. I'm going to send pop-up books in the mail. So she always has a pop-up book, because she'll read to anybody who likes pop-up books. How did she take care of me? She loved to make me warm tapioca pudding when I wasn't feeling well. And so then when she gets there, I'm going to drop off warm tapioca pudding. I'm going to make sure she has tapioca pudding, because if she gave it to me, most likely it's something that gave her comfort. She loved to sing hymns from the old hymnal. She would literally hum and sing hymns walking around the house. So when I'm talking to her on the phone, I'm going to sing, Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound. And I might say, would you harmonize with me? Because she's an alto. And I'm going to sing low so she can harmonize with me. They never, ever lose their senses. Again, what they touch, what they see, what they smell. Smell is one thing that does go. Different things go, but their senses. You got to say, what senses do they have left, and how can I give them back to this person? Because we want to talk. We want to talk about what we did this weekend. We want to talk about our grandkids. We want to talk about how they're doing. We want to ask them questions. We want to ask them open questions this weekend. What'd you do this weekend? You go into 2 sentences and you're going to lose them. And now our only way to communicate is over the phone. But then we want to FaceTime and we want to do this thing on the computer, and they can't handle it. They don't know what this is, and they don't know where you're coming from. But again, I'm not your teacher. So if they can handle it, don't listen to what I just said. But the majority of people aren't going to be able to handle like FaceTiming, aren't going to be able to handle two things happen at one time. You got to go back to talking on the phone. So all they hear is your voice. So the blessing of COVID, should I say, is that we're getting back to the phones. But we got to get back in a way that all they hear is your voice, because they don't recognize your face when you visit them face to face, but they recognize your voice. They recognize your voice far, far into the disease. So if you sing, Jesus loves me, this I know, sing with me, Mom. They're going to sing with you, and they're going to hit the pitch, and they're going to harmonize, and they're going to know every single word, because that's something that's ingrained in them in their long-term memory. And you did sing together. But what were the songs that you sang together way back when? My mom, when she put me to bed, usually it was get to bed. So then the staff has to know that, right? A caregiver has to know that. Like when it's time to go to get to bed. But in someone else's family, they may have tucked them in, they may have kissed them on the forehead, they may have read them a book, they may have turned out the light, they may have had said a prayer. How did they put you to bed is how we put them to bed. So we say, I don't know how to take care of them, but I'm going to say it again. How they took care of you is how you take care of them. So with my mom, I'm going to say, sleep, my child, and peace attend thee all through the night. She loved that song, and she would sing that song at night to calm us down. But who has that information? Family, the daughters, the husbands, the kids. And so often families focus on Alzheimer's, trying to figure this out. What are we going to get for medication? If I got the right side of medication, if I take them to the doctor, if I get this cure, that's insane to spend our time there. Families, spend your time giving their memories back. Who holds their memories about you? Who holds their memories about that cute little second grade girl? You. Then when you're not there, anyone can walk in that room and give that picture back of you. So I'm going to show you a few other things that I think would be fabulous on giving their memories back. Talked about it a little bit, but the hymnal that they had at church, this will give them their memories back. And every hymnal at every church is a different color. Favorite songs from their childhood. So you might have to go to a thrift store, you might have to go to a pawn shop, I don't know. But these have like, oh, you beautiful doll, you great big beautiful doll, or You Are My Sunshine. But know that when you start singing You Are My Sunshine, you're going to sing it 10 times in the next 10 minutes. But you can sing these songs over the phone if you don't know them. Better yet, act like you don't know them. You say, Mom, what's that song? I'm looking over a four-leaf clover. And then she says, that I over, that one, yeah, looked before, one leaf is sunshine. And then you sing it together. But when you say, what's that song? And you give them the first three words, you're asking them to help you. We always think we're here to help them, here to take care of them. I'm going to tell you, these people know how to help you and take care of you if you give them the opportunity. So sometimes I would even just say, my stomach isn't feeling so good, especially if she's in a spin about getting robbed or something happening, or there's dead people in the basement, or she's having a spin off of what's happening right now. I'm going to shake them out of that spin, and I'm going to say, oh, my tummy hurts. I don't feel so good. If she's a mama, she's going to say, Sit down. You feel like you're going to throw up? Are you okay? She's going to put her cold hand on my forehead. Give them the opportunity to take care of us. This is a generation who raised kids. They know how to take care of people. So we got to allow them to take care of us. Same with men. Let's go into with men a little bit. If they were a mechanic, I'm going to walk in that guy's room and I'm going to say, you know, there's this sound in the front of my car, and it's going and it's hitting something. I may not understand a word he says on what it is or how can I fix it, but when he's done, I'm going to go, thank you. Thank you so much. So whatever they were really good at, whatever their greatness is, whatever they know a lot about, you're going to come in. Here's another one. Maybe they were a rock hound. I'm a rock hound, by the way, so I thought I'd do this. But I'm going to bring this rock in, and I'm going to say, you know what? I was in Arizona last week, and I was walking the wash, and I found this. I have never seen a rock like this before. Have you? What do you think? What do you think the green is in there? Again, it's a touch. It's the visual. It's using all the senses, not my words, putting back something in their hands to trigger something they know a lot about. And I don't care if you found this last year. You're going to walk in and say, I found this last weekend. I have no idea what it is. The other thing is, men love love. I should ask you a question, make you test you on this one. But what's the thing a man never forgets? His first vehicle. So even if I don't know where I'm at or who this man is, you know what I ask? I said, what's the first car you ever bought? I'm telling you right now, especially if I have a calendar of cars that he can choose from, he's going to tell me 1956 Chevy. And then I'm going to say, what'd you love about it? He's going to say that it ran. And then I'm going to say, how much did you pay for it? He's going to give me the exact amount that he paid for it. And we think they don't have memory? Huh? But then when you say, when's your wife's birthday? They hesitate, but some men absolutely get that one on the spot too. It depends on the man. The point is, what are the memories that they still hold and how can we give them back? But for a man, that first vehicle, woo woo, that's an easy one to talk with over the phone even. The other thing I like to do, well, let's stick with men and I'll go to that one. Hopefully I can remember it. There's 5 things that have been in a man's pockets that gives him security. This is a test. I'm going to give you the answer since we can't interact. But there are 5 things that have been in a man's pocket that give him security. Wallet, keys, money, pocket knife possibly. The 5th one usually depends on the person, whether it's a comb, a hanky, I don't know. But anyway, ladies, you know the 5 things that they have in their pockets that give them security. We need to give these things back to them. I think it's interesting when someone gets dementia, we take these things away from them. We take away their keys because they don't need to drive anymore. We take away the money because they lose their money or they spend it or they, just throw it around. We take away their pocket knife because they might stab somebody. We don't take away their handkerchief, but they lay down their handkerchief and nobody replaces it. And they might have their wallet, but there's nothing in it. So how many times does a guy check his pockets throughout the day, whether he has dementia or not? I can't even count that high. And they don't stop checking their pockets. But if they check your pockets and all they have is an empty wallet, do you think they're going to sit and relax wherever they are? Absolutely not. You got to put back in their pockets what's been in their pockets for a lifetime. And if you're concerned about that pocket knife or whatever, something being sharp or keys or whatnot, take a little super glue into that pocket knife. And so it doesn't work, because here's the deal. It's not about using it. It's about having it. And money, put a bunch of ones in there. Let them pay for things because they have to pay for things. Their body remembers they're responsible to pay for things. And then hide a $100 bill. That's not real, because you can Xerox copy those. Not the official ones, the ones off the internet, let me be clear. But they hide $100 bills in their wallets somewhere. And if that's missing, they're not going to relax. And their car keys, they don't have to have the car keys to the car, but just jingling the car keys, jingling keys in their pockets can give them security. It can also trigger them to find their car, which again, I'm not your teacher, so it depends on the person, but I literally like to try everything and see how it goes with the person. Because sometimes it's just about jingling those keys in the car, the keys in their pockets. Women have the same thing. They have 5 things that give them security, but I think we kind of know what that is. We don't tend to focus on men, so I wanted to do that a little bit today. Trying to think of a subject that I went. It's funny. I can remember I'm like, I'm going to go to that one, but no, I don't remember what that one was. All right, let's keep going on something else. Okay. Ladies, their life was raising you. Their life was raising children. And we don't think it's age appropriate to give them dolls back or to give them a coloring book back or to give them nursery rhyme back. But I'm going to tell you, their whole life could have been that. And how many of you, if I gave you a brand new coloring book right now and a set of colors, would you color? Admit. So again, if it works, it works. But we've got to put things back in their hands that they can hold, that they can touch, that they can feel, to trigger those comforting, warm feelings. That's maybe a one too. Now imagine that they don't have anything in their hands. And all you do is put them in front of the TV. And now commercials are coming on. How does it feel when you have nothing in your hands and everyone's doing something for you and around you? How does that feel? Empty and anxious. These people need to be useful. They need to be purposeful. And so when you put something back in their hands, not only does it trigger their memories, but it gives them a task and say, would you hold this for me? Would you hold this for me? My daughter's going to be here soon. My little girl's going to be here soon. And I want her to know where it is. Maybe your daughter's not coming, but it gives them a task to hold something until your daughter gets here, but she's not coming. Does this make sense? You make up things so they feel like they're being useful to you. And I love nursery rhymes. One of my favorite things to do with people with dementia was nursery rhymes. Mother Goose. No one's ever going to forget Mother Goose. And I would go, oh, the 3 little kittens, they lost their mittens. And then I go, and they began to cry. Yeah, that's right. Oh, mama dear, see here, our mittens we have lost. But I loved reading nursery rhymes. And these old books have the most precious pictures in them that make you feel warm all over. I think we forget the power of warmth, power of warm fuzzies. What gave them warm fuzzies before this disease? What helped them to just feel good? That could be a blanket, a certain blanket, a very particular blanket. That could be socks on their feet, so their feet are always warm, because I'm telling you right now, my feet are cold. And I'm thinking, I wish I would have put on some socks. I wish I would have put on some socks. And I can't tell you all that. And I can't go get any. And they don't even know how to go get those socks. But they're uncomfortable because they're not warm. One of the greatest gifts we can give people, no matter what stage, no matter where they live, no matter where they're at, is comfort and warmth. Comfort and warmth. And comfort and warmth means that outfit that they've been wearing for 10 days drives you crazy, that they want to wear it again. They haven't even taken it off. And you're feeling shame, like you're not taking care of them. This is not okay. They never would have done that. That outfit that they wear every single day, why did they pick it? Because they like it. Do they remember they wore it yesterday? How do they feel when they wear it? Comfortable. When these people are comfortable and warm, who gets a better day? everybody. But when you demand that they change their outfit, or the caregiver wants them to change their outfit, or you come in and you want them to change, where's the stress level go? Where's the functioning go? So I would like you to ask yourself a question when you have the inkling to change them, to change what they're doing right now, because it's unacceptable to you. You don't like the outfit that they're wearing. You don't like that they had 3 bowls of ice cream because they're gaining weight. You don't want them sleeping all day. I don't know what the situation is, but you have this thing in your head that you're like, that's not okay. Ask yourself 3 questions before you correct them. Wearing the same outfit 7 days a week, does it cause you physical pain? Not annoy you, because we are annoyed by what other people do. It's just a human condition. But wearing the same outfit, does it physically hurt you? When they wear the same outfit, does it physically hurt them? When they wear the same outfit, does it physically hurt anybody? If it doesn't physically hurt anybody, what do you think I want you to do? Let them wear it. And yeah, you can go get 10 more that look just like it. Done that. But if you come in and say, look at all the new clothes I got you, they're going to be pissed you spent their money. So if you bring them something, it better be on sale. Or garage, something where you couldn't pass it up. They're more likely to receive it if you didn't spend any money on it or inconvenience yourself. So yeah, they can have 10 blue sweaters then because they love their blue sweater. But still, let go of your expectation because they might just wear that same sweater. Stop correcting them. 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 I'm going to tell you, when they eat 3 bowls of ice cream and they gain weight, they need that weight to go through this disease. Has anybody met anybody overweight with Alzheimer's when they died? No, they're thinner than thin. They walk, they pace all day long. They need that weight because in the beginning stages, they might be eating a lot and they might not. Again, you can't figure this out. I'm not your teacher, but the point is to let them be as they are. When we let them be as they are, suffering is less for everybody. And it's not easy. I make it sound like butterflies and cupcakes. Easy to let them be as they are. As a spouse, you're going to want to change them in the hope that they get better. Rightfully so. You're going to want to give them medication in the hope that they get better. Rightfully so, because you want this person back the way that they used to be. But this is a disease. They're not doing this to tick you off. They're doing the best they can with the abilities they have left, with the memories they have left. They can't change. They literally can't change. So who's the only person who can change? We are. And that's why it's harder for us than it is for them. Does that make sense? But when you correct them over and over and over and over again, I'm telling you, they don't like you. You're going to have to be wrong from this point on if you're going to do this. That's going to take therapy for some of you. Imagine if you're right. You just think you're right, right? They've already had 3 bowls of ice cream. Not going to have any more. I don't want them to have any more. Well, the person with dementia thinks they haven't had any ice cream and they'd like some, please. And then you're thinking they're diabetic. They can't have that ice cream. Here's the other thing about that. That's why we created insulin. And I guarantee you, if you weren't around, they'd be eating that ice cream. And I know it's not as simple as that, but we have to contradict our thinking on what we want. When you get dementia, do you want someone to tell you, that's not your sweater, that's not your room, that's not your purse? I've already had 3 bowls of ice cream. You need to take a shower. Do you want someone to take away your vodka? Do you want someone to take away your cigarettes? Do you want someone to take away your sleeping all day? No. We want quality of life when we get there. When you get to be 86 years old, you're going to want to be in your bed. You're going to want to be with your pillow. You're going to want someone to shut the damn door and leave you alone. But then everybody's going to label that as isolating themselves and depressed, and they need to come out and they need to get socially engaged. Who wants that change? We do, because we feel better when they look better and they act better. I feel like I'm being a little rough this morning. But you really got to consider who wants this? Who's demanding this? Because I guarantee you, if you let them be who they are as they are, we're going to have a better day. Even if you have to go into the other room and have a fit. Because it is hard. You want them to look better. You want them to be better. That is a rightful hope. But this is a disease that progresses. It progresses. And you get to go moment by moment. They're going to have good days where you're like, wow, they're doing great. We're going to be okay. And then they're going to have bad days. And you're like, wow, I'm in denial. You have to be gentle with yourself. This is, I'm not going to say the most difficult journey, but I'm telling you, it is a difficult journey. And there are very few signs, very few ways of getting through it, except for to be present with them now. So if they're mad right now, you're like, that shouldn't have happened. I'm going to check on it. You're mad with them. And if they're mad at you, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I did that. I'm so sorry that I did that. You may not even have done it, but they're blaming you that you did it. But you got to say, I'm sorry. If you want to fight to dissipate, say, I'm sorry. If you want to fight to escalate, be right. You already had 3 bowls of ice cream. You haven't had a bath in 2 weeks. You wore that outfit yesterday. When you think you're right and they think they're right, where does the confrontation and the stress level and the fighting go? Who wins? Let's ask that question. Who wins? No one. No one wins. And they're more likely to win with a short-term memory loss because they won't remember in a little bit and you'll still be mad. So how can you get them out of spins? How can you get them out of a trigger? Have someone call on the phone can get somebody out of a spin. Bringing dessert to the table with tea can get somebody out of a spin. When they're spinning on something, how can you get them to sit and relax? You have to sit and relax. You might even have to say, I'm so tired. Show them that you're tired. Show them that you're done battling. And then they might relax and sit. And then I'm going to read this story from the Bible, and I'm going to read it as slow and as monotone as I can until they but hot, wet washcloths, just even getting a hot, wet washcloth and handing it to them can give them out of a spin. Wrapping them up, making them warm can get them out of a spin. Putting a hot towel over their head can get them out of a spin. That laundry that just came out of the dryer, put that over them. Because fatigue is a major cause of this confusion and stress, and they've had it and they're done, but they don't know how to stop. They don't know how to calm down because your mood absolutely affects their mood. So you're going to have to take a nap for them to feel like they can take a nap. Does this make sense? And breathe. Again, I make it sound easy. This is not easy. You've been their spouse for 50 years, possibly. You're going to have good days. You're going to have bad days. And you have to tell us how to help in a way that would be helpful. You have to give us your memories about who this person is. And you have to give us this stuff in their room so anyone can walk in that room and pick up that stuff and put it in their hands. And if they think you're having an affair as a spouse, you have to give them flowers and write a love letter. So they always see the flowers and give them the flowers you always gave them. And they can read the love letter. Because if you don't, they're going to think that you're having an affair. because of the short-term memory loss, they haven't seen you in a long time. So they have to see something that lets them know that you still love them. And it's not you saying, we've been married for 50 years. I love you. Because they're thinking, get away from me. You're trying to reason with me. I don't believe that. They think you're... One last thing before I close, because it's about that time. But so often they're looking for someone who's passed away. They're looking for their mom, or they're looking for their husband, and they've passed away. Where's my husband? Where's my mom? And they're no longer living. How does it make them feel when you tell them the person they're looking for is no longer living? Nobody said anything. Nobody told me. Where was I? What happened? And so they feel like you're lying to them. This is not true. I know where he is, and the stress level goes up and they got to go find whoever that is. When they're looking for someone who's passed away, your whole goal again is to make them feel like that person is perfectly okay. Your husband's out in the field. Your husband's at work. Your husband went fishing. They might be ticked off because he's fishing again, but they believe you. You might even have to say he's at the bar with Chuck having a beer. He's had it. But you better know who he had a beer with, because they don't want it to think it's a woman. Does that make sense? Better have Chuck's name. Who's the only one that can give us Chuck's name, that he used to go have beer with Chuck? You are. So when they ask this question 50 times a day, where's my husband? Any person can come in the room and say, he's at it. He's up having a beer with Chuck. Now we all have the same answer. Got to give everybody the same answer. The answer that makes them feel like everybody and everything is okay in this moment. So do I have any questions, or shall I kind of wrap it up? Because I don't want to take your time.
So Jolene, we do have a question coming through, and it says, with COVID going on, what can you do socially distance, since we often can't touch the person, get close to show them pictures, etc.?
Yes. Basically, put in a box anything and everything that lets everybody know who this person is. So the people that are with them have something to give them. So I want you to go around your house. I want you to go around your attics. I want you to go around your closets, and I want you to put stuff in a box and send that box to them, or drop off that box to them. We can send mail to them. We can have kids. Do you have kids? Don't try to get them to go know who drew this, but any kid can draw a picture and put that in the mail or drop it off. And when the person I was taking care of, when we talked on the phone, I always made sure that a staff person made her a cup of chai tea before we chatted, because when Jyoti and I were together and we were friends, we would drink chai tea together. That was our connection. So maybe with a kid, it might be a bag of M&Ms. Give him a bag of M&Ms, because he always gave his grandkids M&Ms. So what's the connector between two people? So you're more likely to get them to know who they actually are talking to. But if they don't know who they are talking to over the phone today, they might tomorrow. Every day is different. We still have to have all that stuff that surrounds them to know that they are loved. What season is it? It's Easter, right? Coming up. So I'm going to think to myself, what does my mom always bring out at Easter? What always comes? These two little styrofoam bunny, Mr. Bunny Rabbit and Miss Bunny Rabbit. That always comes out at Easter. A bowl of Easter eggs. Those crosses that they used to give away at church, right? So I'm going to get her those little itty bitty crosses, and I'm going to drop them off, so she can still give away something for Easter, as she would have been when she was in church. Does that make sense? A lily would have been something for Easter. What season is it? And how can you give them back what has been in their life, your entire memory? Maybe there's a picture that went through from house to house to house. That picture better be in their room. And not pictures of last week, and not pictures that bought new, pictures that have gone from house to house to house since you were a kid. You're like, oh yeah, my mom always took that picture with. The one of the little girl holding on to the lily. She loves that painting. We have these things. They're in our closets, not bringing joy to anybody. We've got to put back in their hands and back in their rooms their memories, the things that trigger their memories. So again, get a cardboard box, fill it with anything and everything that reminds you of this person, and drop it off. That's what I would do. So the people who are giving care could put it back in their hands. And when you call them on the phone, you don't say, Mom, do you remember? Dad, do you remember? Take that out of your vocabulary. When you call on the phone, you say, Mom, I walked the back 40 this morning. Yeah, the lilies are up. The crocuses are coming too. In other words, you're just giving her memory back about the back 40 in Missouri. Does that make sense? Who's got those memories? We do, because we're their family. But it can't be, do you remember when we would walk on the back 40 in too much information? You just got to give them their memory back as if it's happening right now. That's what I would do. Yeah, that's what I would do. Anything else?
No, that looks like that was the last question. If anybody has any questions, feel free to type it in the question and answer box or raise your hand. We'll give it like, oh, looks like nope, they put their hand down. Oh, here we go. Here's one. Do most memory units in senior facilities use your approaches for their clients?
All I know is I've been doing this for over 20 years. My book is about that old, meaning I've rewritten it. So the information is definitely out there. But again, you have to walk in to see what they're doing. You have to walk in to see what their focus is, because if their focus is medication, or if their focus is confidentiality, or if their focus is person-centered care, every community is completely different. And I've spoken nationwide for a very long time. So people are aware of my information, but whether or not they're doing it. Here's the other thing that families do. They give them my book. They give them the video information. They give them the products that I have in the hopes that someone will read it. Because again, as a family member, you can't tell. You can give the information, but it's their responsibility to put it into action. So that's a tough question. I want to kind of close with this, that as a spouse or as a person who loves this person, right? We love them. You've got to remember that you're important too. So much of our energy is placed on who's sick. You have to still remember that you're important too in this whole process. So it's important that you fit pleasure into your day, that you fit joy into your day, that you take the bath, that you keep your feet warm, that you take a nap, that you eat what you love. We as caregivers get lost in the process because we think it's about them because they're sick. I'm telling you right now, if you don't take care and say, I'm important too, we're going to lose you in the process. And we don't want to lose two people to this disease. Who gets to decide you're important? Do you think your kids are going to tell you you're important? Do you think your coworkers are going to? You decide. I'm important too. I'm going to spend time taking care of me. That may mean you need to lock the bathroom door so they don't have access to you, because they're going to be right next to your side, right next to your side, right next to your side. When I was caregiving, the basement was mine. And when I needed a break, I went to the basement. And I had a sacred space down there with the fireplace and with the comfort and with the blanket and with something to put on my feet. But you cannot be with this person 24/7. We will lose you in the process. You are important. Please, 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 please remember that. And please action that. Do at least 20 things throughout the day to remind yourself how you are important in this process. Yes, create joy for self too. Thank you. Create joy for self too. Thank you.
Jolene, it looks like we have one more question that just popped up. And it says, my mom likes to hoard napkins in the house, in her purse, in her walker, and in her jacket. Sometimes it's hard not to get angry, but now I let her do it and take out the napkins when she's not looking. Am I doing the right thing?
No, anytime they have an obsession, I give them more. In fact, if I'd stop by, I'd give her napkins. I'm like, look at these cute napkins that I found. Oh my gosh, they're so cute. And I would give her more napkins. So anytime they have an obsession, it's something that they need to have in order to have security. They can't tell you why. Their body just remembers this is a thing they need in order to have security. And so I would give them more of what gives them security. So if their wallet gives them security, I'm going to go get 20 wallets because everything gets lost. And so we always have a wallet for that person. If a purse gives them security, I'm going to give them 20 purses and I'm going to fill it with sugar packets, apples, napkins, and silverware. So they always have security with them. This is what they're showing you. When they hoard something, you can call it hoarding, but really it's the item that gives them security. So how can we give it back to them full on?
That looks like that's my last question. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. My pleasure.
So I just want to quickly share my screen because I know there's quite a few people who probably would like to get some information about Jolene Bracky, her book, Creating Moments of Joy. And I thought we'd share her website as well,
Yeah.
www.enhancedmoments.com.
Yep.
So if you have a smartphone, a lot of times I just take a picture of the screen. It helps you remember information. So Jolene, thank you so much for joining us today. This was a great presentation. There were moments I chuckled, moments I teared up a bit. So
Aww.
it was really great. Definitely gonna purchase your book. And
Yay.
yeah, so for those of you today who joined us, thank you so much for joining us today. I did want to share with you just really quickly the contact information for all 3 of our campuses. As I mentioned before, Westminster at Lake Ridge is in Lake Ridge, Virginia. Ingleside at Rock Creek is located in Washington, D.C., and Ingleside at King Farm is located in Rockville, Maryland. All 3 campuses are life plan communities. Ingleside at Rock Creek and Ingleside at King Farm have opened up new memory support assisted living neighborhoods. So this is a residential program for those who have Alzheimer's and neurocognitive disorders. We welcome everyone to contact us. We are doing tours of our communities. We're also happy to do virtual tours if that makes you comfortable as well. And we do have an events page on each website for the community that we have events throughout the month. One that might be interesting to you is one on March 18th, which is about our assisted living and our memory support assisted living on the Ingleside at Rock Creek and the Ingleside at King Farm campuses. So would love to have you join us for that on March 18th as well. In the meantime, I wish you all the best. Stay safe, stay happy, and continue creating moments of joy. All right, take care, everyone.